Pay for stopping my parents' house payments after they gave my brother my share? I'm Luna, 35, the older daughter in a family that treated reliability like a coupon they could use forever. I live on my own, pay my own bills, and have spent most of my adult life being called the strong one whenever someone wanted me to swallow something unfair without making a scene. My younger brother, Noah, is 32, and somehow every family emergency came with his name on it and my debit card behind it. Sunday dinners at my parents' house always had the same smell: box stuffing, lemon cleaner, and whatever guilt trip my mother, Elaine, had warmed up before dessert. My dad, Martin, sat at the head of the table like every opinion in the room needed his signature. Noah usually showed up late, dropped his keys on the counter, kissed Mom on the cheek, and acted like his arrival was a favor. I don't say that because I hated him. I didn't. For a long time I made excuses for him right along with everyone else. Noah was sensitive. Noah was overwhelmed. Noah had bad luck with jobs, cars, landlords, banks, managers, roommates, and apparently every phone bill he ever touched. When I handled my life, it was expected. When Noah handled one normal adult responsibility, my parents acted like he had pulled a family out of a burning building. The money started small. It always does. The first time my mother asked, she called me at 8:13 on a Tuesday night. I remember the time because I was eating cereal for dinner over my sink, still in the sweater I had worn all day, too tired to cook a real meal. Her voice was soft and embarrassed. "Honey, I hate to ask." That phrase became a warning bell in my body. Back then it was a mortgage shortage. A payment had posted late, Dad's check had been smaller than expected, and there was some fee they needed to clear before Friday. "Just this month," Mom said. "We hate asking you. Your father is beside himself." Dad got on the phone for 30 seconds and made it sound noble. "Family steps up," he said. "Your mother shouldn't have to worry herself sick over a bank notice." So I paid it. Not because I was rich and not because I had money lying around in piles. I paid it because it was my parents' house, the house where our birthdays had been held, where Mom still taped Christmas cards around the kitchen doorway, where Dad kept pretending the back deck wasn't sagging because he didn't want to admit he couldn't fix it himself anymore. I sent the money and told myself anyone would do the same. Then came homeowners insurance. Then property tax installments. Then a leaking window seal that had supposedly turned into an emergency because rain was getting in. Then a water heater. Then Dad's prescriptions 1 month when their copays were higher than expected. Then the shared phone plan because Mom said it would be cheaper if I put everyone under my account, and we all just settled up. Nobody settled up except me. Then Noah's credit card minimum, which Mom said was just to keep one stupid mistake from ruining him. "Just this once," she said. It was never once. My parents had a way of making their requests sound like tests of character. If I hesitated, Mom would go quiet, then say, "I understand. You have your own life." But she said it in that thin, wounded voice that made it clear I had failed some invisible exam. Dad was more direct. "You know your brother can't handle pressure like you can," he told me once, after Noah overdrafted his checking account and needed money before a payment was due. "You've always been the capable one." For years I thought capable was a compliment. Eventually I realized it was just the word they used when they wanted me to accept less. Noah never asked the way Mom did. He asked like my money was already halfway his. "Can you spot me until Friday?" he'd text. "It's just an overdraft thing. Don't tell Dad, he's already on my case. I'll pay you back this time, seriously." Sometimes he did pay back a little. $20 here. $50 there. Enough to keep the fantasy alive that he was trying. Then a week later there would be another emergency. Late fees. Car repair. A card minimum. Something with his bank. Something with Mom crying. Something with Dad saying, "We're not asking for ourselves." I wasn't passive through all of this. I know it may sound like I just kept handing over money with my eyes closed, but that wasn't it. I kept records. At first I did it for budgeting. Then I did it because the story started changing. Mom would tell me the property tax payment was due on the 10th, but then Noah would post in our family group chat, the family table, "Don't worry, I handled Mom and Dad's tax thing." Aunt Beth would send clapping emojis. Uncle Ray would say, "Good man." Mom would heart the message. I would stare at my banking app and the transfer I had made 2 days earlier. Once, after I paid for Dad's medication copays, Mom told the family at dinner, "Noah ran around all afternoon making sure your father had what he needed. Noah had picked up the bag from the pharmacy. I had paid for it." Another time, I covered a homeowner's insurance gap after Mom sent me a picture of a notice with the due date circled in red. 3 days later, Noah wrote in the group chat, "Insurance is handled. Dad can breathe now." I replied, "Glad it's handled." He sent me a private text 5 minutes later. "Don't be weird. Mom gets embarrassed." That was the first time I created a folder on my laptop called House. Inside it, I save confirmation emails, screenshots, PDFs, text messages, anything with a date and an amount. I didn't know what I was building at first. I just knew people who rewrite history get nervous around receipts. The anniversary dinner was supposed to be simple. My parents had been married for 40 years, and Mom wanted the whole family over. She started talking about it a month in advance, mostly through dramatic sighs and pictures of things she said were falling apart. The back deck had been a problem for years. The railing wobbled if anyone leaned on it. The gutters over the back steps sagged. A window near the dining room had a seal that fogged up so badly, you couldn't see through one corner. Mom acted like those things were humiliations being personally inflicted on her by the house. 2 weeks before the dinner, she called me crying. "I don't want everyone seeing it like this," she said. "Your father keeps saying he'll handle it, but he won't. He can't. He's ashamed, Luna." I rubbed my forehead and looked at the repair estimate on my laptop. She had already forwarded it to me, of course. Deck work, gutter repair, window seal replacement. Not a full renovation, but enough to hurt. "Mom," I said, "if I cover the deposit and the first maintenance package, everyone needs to know it's from me. I'm not doing the thing where I pay and Noah gets thanked." She sounded offended. "Honey, why would you even say that?" "Because it keeps happening." There was a pause. Then came the soft voice. "Please don't make your father feel small. Just let it be a family gift." "As long as everyone knows it's from me," I said. "Of course," she answered quickly. Too quickly now that I think about it. "Of course they will." I paid the deposit. I saved the confirmation. I forwarded the email to myself and put it in the house folder. On the night of the dinner, I arrived 10 minutes early with a pie from a bakery Mom liked, and a card I had spent too long choosing. Through the front window, I could already see people moving around the dining room. Laughter, clinking glasses, cousins leaning against counters, Aunt Beth arranging paper plates on the sideboard because Mom never believed we had enough real plates even when we did. The house looked the same as always, warm and slightly chaotic. The hallway smelled like lemon cleaner. The kitchen smelled like butter and stuffing. Dad's favorite old clock ticked too loudly from the living room wall. I walked in and Mom hugged me with one arm because she was holding a serving spoon in the other. "There she is," she said, cheerful in a way that didn't reach her eyes. "Put the pie on the counter, sweetheart." Noah was already there, which should have warned me something was off. He was usually late enough for Mom to pretend she wasn't worried and Dad to grumble that traffic was probably bad. That night, he was sitting beside Dad with a beer in his hand, wearing a button-down shirt that still had the fold lines in it. Dad kept touching his shoulder like Noah was a guest of honor. My place card was on a small folding chair near the kitchen doorway. Not at the main table. Not even fully in the dining room. Half in, half out, like I was serving dinner instead of attending it. Noah noticed me looking. "Don't be weird about the chair," he said. "It's just dinner." I looked at the seat next to Dad, where Noah's name was written on a little cream card in Mom's careful handwriting. "Sure," I said. Maya, my cousin, caught my eye from across the room. She was younger than me, quiet, observant, the kind of person who saw everything and said almost nothing until it mattered. She gave me a small, sympathetic look. I smiled back because I didn't want to start the night already hurt. Dinner was loud. Uncle Ray told the same story about Dad dropping a turkey one Thanksgiving. Aunt Beth kept asking Mom if she needed help. Someone's kid spilled soda and Mom pretended not to be annoyed while aggressively blotting the tablecloth. Noah sat beside Dad, laughing too loudly at things that weren't funny. I tried to relax. I really did. I told myself it was just a chair. Just a dinner. Just one night. Then Mom stood up with her glass. "Before dessert," she said, "your father and I want to thank everyone for being here. 40 years is a blessing. Family is a blessing. And sometimes family shows love by stepping in when it matters. I felt my stomach tighten. Mom turned toward Noah. Noah arranged the deck work and some repairs around the house, she said, smiling like she had rehearsed it in the mirror. That boy always thinks about what this family needs. For a second, I honestly thought I had misheard her. Noah didn't flinch. He lifted his beer a little, as if embarrassed by all the praise but not embarrassed enough to correct it. Aunt Beth clapped first. "Oh, Noah, that's wonderful. Your mom has been worried about that deck." Uncle Ray said, "Good man. Taking care of the house. That's what sons do." Dad squeezed Noah's shoulder. "That's my boy." I sat there with my fork in my hand, feeling the metal press into my palm. My face got hot then cold. I looked at Mom, waiting for her eyes to flicker to mine, waiting for even a small correction. A laugh. A "well, Luna helped too." Anything. She avoided looking at me completely. Noah said, "Yeah, it's been on my mind for a while. Figured it was time." That was when I knew the lie hadn't slipped out. It had been planned. I didn't say anything yet. Not because I wasn't angry. Because if I reacted right then, they would make the reaction the problem. Luna ruining the anniversary. Luna jealous of attention. Luna making things awkward. I had seen that trick too many times. So I listened. A few minutes later, Uncle Ray leaned back in his chair, full of food and nostalgia, and said, "You know, with how rough things got a couple years back, it's good to see this house still in the family. A lot of people would have lost it." Dad nodded slowly, like a man accepting credit for surviving a storm while someone else had been quietly patching the roof. "We've had help," he said. "Noah has done more than people know." Mom jumped in. "Luna helps here and there when she can, of course. But Noah has always had such a heart for this family." Here and there. I had paid mortgage shortages, insurance gaps, property tax installments, phone bills, medication copays, repair deposits, and Noah's personal messes. But I was here and there. Maya's head turned toward me sharply. Aunt Beth blinked like something about that sentence didn't sit right. Noah stared into his beer with a tiny smile pulling at one corner of his mouth. I set my fork down. Dad cleared his throat. "And since we're talking about the future, your mother and I have been discussing how to make sure this place stays stable. Noah needs a foundation. Luna, you've always landed on your feet. You're independent. You don't need a stake the same way he does." The room changed. Not loudly. Just enough. Conversations thinned. Someone lowered a glass. A cousin stopped chewing. I looked at my father. "Are you saying you're giving Noah the house?" Mom's smile snapped tight. "This isn't the time to talk about details." "You brought it up at the table," I said. Dad leaned back, already irritated that I had not accepted his announcement like a blessing. "We're planning responsibly. Noah needs stability. You can take care of yourself. What about the money I've put into keeping this house current?" There it was. The question nobody wanted me to ask. Mom whispered, "Luna, don't embarrass us in front of family." Dad's voice went hard in that calm, fatherly way he used when he wanted the whole room to agree with him. "You helped because you wanted to. Don't turn love into a transaction." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the audacity was so complete it knocked the air out of me. Love was only a transaction when I asked where my money went. When they needed it, it was duty. I looked at Noah. He didn't look surprised. He looked pleased. That was the second warning. The third was the manila folder. It was sitting on a side table near Noah's chair, half tucked under a stack of anniversary cards. I had noticed it earlier but hadn't paid attention. Now I saw the tab. Robert. That was the name of the estate attorney my parents had used years ago for some basic paperwork. The folder had a printed email sticking out of it, and I could see the words "deed transfer preparation" near the top of the page. Dessert started. People moved around. Paper plates were passed. Mom began cutting pie with the intense focus of a woman trying to pretend her dining room had not just turned into a courtroom. Dad stood to take a phone call from someone wishing them happy anniversary. Noah went into the kitchen to get another beer. The folder was left on the side table. I don't know what made me stand up. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was years of my own bank account whispering, "Go look." I walked into the hallway like I was heading to the bathroom. On the way I picked up the folder. My hands were steady, which surprised me. Inside were printed emails between my parents and Robert, the attorney. Nothing dramatic at first glance. Scheduling, drafts, questions about changing title, a checklist for a deed transfer, notes about whether Noah's name would be added first or if the house would be transferred fully later. Then I saw another page. Possible loans secured by property after transfer. My ears started ringing. There were handwritten notes in Dad's blocky writing. Noah reset, consolidate, lower interest, fresh start. Fresh start. That was what they called every hole Noah dug when they expected me to bring a ladder. Behind that were bills. Not copies from this week. A stack of older bills and notices. Insurance. Property tax. Mortgage shortage letters. A credit card statement with Noah's name. A pharmacy receipt. A phone carrier notice. On the back of the March homeowner's insurance bill, in my mother's handwriting, were the words Luna paid March insurance. On the back of a property tax installment, Luna covered. Thank her privately. On Noah's credit card statement, Luna paid minimum. Don't mention at dinner. I stood in my parents' hallway, under a framed picture of the four of us from some long ago beach trip, and felt something inside me go very still. My mother knew. She knew exactly who paid. She had written it down. She had kept the proof. She had thanked me privately, erased me publicly, and watched my brother accept praise for money that came out of my account. My father knew too. He wasn't confused. He wasn't misinformed. He had allowed money I sent for household costs to cover Noah's debts, then stood in front of our family and told me not to turn love into a transaction. Noah knew. Of course Noah knew. He had asked me privately, then bragged publicly. They weren't mistaken. They had simply decided my money belonged to the family, while gratitude belonged to Noah. I took the folder with me into the bathroom and locked the door. For about 30 seconds, I just stood there looking at myself in the mirror. My face looked calm in a way that didn't match what was happening inside me. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to walk back into the dining room and read every page out loud. Instead, I put the folder on the closed toilet lid and opened my banking app. The first thing I canceled was the scheduled monthly transfer to the account my parents used for mortgage shortage payments. It was my account sending money. My choice. Cancel. Confirmation email arrived. Then the property tax escrow transfer I had set up after Mom cried last year that one more missed installment would break your father. Cancel. Then the homeowner's insurance card on file. It was my card, attached through their payment portal because I had made the last 3 payments. Remove payment method. Confirm. Then the shared phone plan. That account was in my name because Mom had insisted it was cheaper for everyone. I scheduled Noah's line to be released so he could open his own account. I removed the upgrade protection he had added without asking me. I changed the account PIN. Then the credit card. Mom had an authorized user card for emergencies. She used it for groceries, prescriptions, and I now understood sometimes Noah's needs. I froze it first, then removed her as an authorized user. Noah had a secondary card I had given him 2 years earlier after he swore he only needed it for real emergencies. I froze that too. Then I removed him. I changed passwords. I downloaded statements. I forwarded every cancellation confirmation to myself. I saved the email chain from the folder by taking pictures of every page with my phone, because I wasn't stupid enough to rely on them letting me keep it later. Then I opened the family table group chat and typed one sentence. Luna. Since I'm not part of the decisions, I'm no longer funding them. I watched the message send. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then the little typing bubbles appeared like fireworks. Noah. What does that even mean? Elaine, Luna, come back to the table. Martin. This is not how adults handle family matters. Aunt Beth. What decisions? Uncle Ray. Did I miss something? Maya. Maybe adults also don't lie about who paid the bills. I heard my mother's voice outside the bathroom door. Luna? Open the door. I picked up the folder. In a minute. Please don't do this tonight, she whispered. Not at our anniversary dinner. That almost got me. For one old stupid second I felt guilty. Then I looked at the back of Noah's credit card statement and saw my mother's handwriting again. Don't mention at dinner. I opened the door. Mom's face was pale. She saw the folder in my hand and her mouth parted slightly. Where did you get that? The side table. That is private. So was my bank account. She reached for the folder. I stepped back. Luna, she said, low and urgent, you are making us look like terrible parents. No, I said. I'm making you look like parents who kept receipts and still lied. When I walked back into the dining room, everyone was watching. The room had that awful tight silence families get when something real is finally happening and nobody knows whether to help or hide. Dad was standing behind his chair, red in the face. Give your mother that folder, he said. No. Noah laughed once, sharp and fake. Oh my God, Luna. You always have to make yourself the victim. I looked at him. You accepted applause for repairs I paid for. His face twitched. Mom said it was a family gift. Mom told me everyone would know it was from me. Mom pressed her hand to her chest. I was trying to protect your father's feelings. By giving Noah credit? Dad slammed his palm lightly on the table. Not hard enough to be scary, just hard enough to remind everyone he was used to controlling the room. Enough. After everything we did for you, this is how you repay us? Humiliating us in front of family. That sentence used to work on me. It had carried years of bills on its back. This time it landed and fell flat. I'm not arguing about love, I said. I'm asking why my money is invisible. Aunt Beth looked between us. Elaine, what is she talking about? Mom's lips tightened. This is between us and our daughter. Uncle Ray frowned. Well, you made Noah's help everybody's business 5 minutes ago. Noah stood up. This is insane. She's jealous because Mom and Dad trust me with the house. Trust is expensive when someone else pays for it, I said. Maya made a small sound, almost a laugh, then covered it with her hand. Dad pointed toward the hallway. You and I can discuss this privately. No, I said. You praised Noah publicly. You erased me publicly. You announced the house publicly. So we can correct it publicly. My voice shook on that last word. I hated that it did, but I kept going. I opened the folder and pulled up my phone at the same time. March homeowners insurance, I said. Paid by me. Here's the confirmation email. Same date as this bill. On the back, in Mom's handwriting, it says, Luna paid March insurance. Aunt Beth leaned forward. Mom whispered, please stop. I didn't. June property tax installment. Paid by me. Here's the bank transfer. The note on the back says, Luna covered. Thank her privately. Uncle Ray's face changed. I thought Noah handled the tax thing, he said. Noah rolled his eyes. I helped coordinate. I turned my phone toward Uncle Ray. This is Noah in the group chat that week. Don't worry, I handled it. This is my transfer 2 days earlier. Nobody spoke. I kept going. Home repair deposit for the deck, gutters, and window seal. Paid by me. Here's the contractor confirmation. Mom called me crying because she didn't want everyone seeing the house falling apart. She told me everyone would know it was from me. Tonight she told everyone Noah arranged it. Mom was crying now, but not the soft kind. Angry tears. Cornered tears. I was trying to keep the peace, she said. Peace for who? She didn't answer. I pulled out Noah's credit card statement. My hand shook for real this time. Noah's card minimum last September. Paid by me, after Mom told me the money was for a medication gap and a late utility bill. The back of this statement says, Luna paid minimum. Don't mention at dinner. Aunt Beth sat back like someone had pushed her. Wait, she said slowly. Luna paid for all of that? I looked at her. Not all. Just enough that they could stand here and pretend Noah saved them. Dad's jaw flexed. You're exaggerating. Families move money around. We all help each other. Then why lie about who helped? Because you keep score, he snapped. The room went silent again. There it was. The truth underneath all the speeches about love and duty. If I paid quietly, I was generous. If I remembered, I was keeping score. I nodded once. Yes, I said. I started keeping score when people started stealing credit. Noah threw his napkin on the table. This is pathetic. You're 35 and crying because Mommy and Daddy think I need the house more. I turned to him. If the house is your future, the bills can be your present. His smug expression slipped. What is that supposed to mean? It means I canceled my scheduled transfers. I removed my card from the insurance portal. I froze Mom's authorized user card. I removed you from my emergency card. And your line is being released from my phone plan. You'll get the notice. Mom gasped like I had thrown something. You did what? Dad's face darkened. You had no right. They are my accounts, I said. My cards. My transfers. My phone plan. I have every right to stop paying. You're destroying this family over money, Noah said. No, I said. I'm removing myself from the budget. Maya looked down at her phone, then back up. Noah just texted the cousin chat that Luna is having a breakdown, she said quietly. Noah glared at her. Stay out of it. She lifted her eyebrows. You put it in the chat. My phone buzzed. Maya had sent me screenshots. Noah's message was exactly what she said. Noah, Luna is losing it because Mom and Dad are doing estate stuff. Ignore her. Another message from him appeared in the family table. Noah. She always does this when things aren't about her. I didn't reply in the chat. I held up my phone. Since we're talking about messages, here's one from you last month, I said to Noah. Can you cover the overdraft before Mom sees? I'll fix it Friday. And here's you 2 days later in the family chat saying, I took care of Mom and Dad. They don't need to stress. Uncle Ray muttered, You've got to be kidding me. Aunt Beth looked at my mother. Elaine, you knew? Mom wiped her cheek with the side of her finger. I knew Luna helped. I didn't know she was going to weaponize it. Weaponize it? Aunt Beth said. You wrote her name on the back of the bills and let Noah take credit at your anniversary dinner. Dad cut in. Beth, don't stir this. You don't understand the situation. I understand being lied to, Aunt Beth said. You told all of us Noah had been carrying the house. Dad looked around the room like he was waiting for support. He got some, but not as much as he expected. One cousin mumbled, This seems like a private money thing. Another said, Private until they made a toast about it. Uncle Ray rubbed his forehead. Martin, did Luna pay the insurance or not? Dad didn't answer. That was answer enough. Mom tried one more angle. Luna, you know how sensitive your brother is. He needed encouragement. You have always been stronger. I looked at her for a long second. You didn't encourage him, I said. You built him a costume out of my money and asked me to clap. Noah's face flushed. You're such a martyr. No, I said. A martyr keeps paying. I'm done. The rest of the dinner fell apart in pieces. Aunt Beth stood up and started clearing plates even though nobody had asked her to, just to have something to do with her hands. Uncle Ray went onto the back porch and made a phone call. Maya stayed near me, not hovering, just present. Mom cried in the kitchen. Dad followed her. Then came back out and told everyone the night was over. Noah cornered me by the front door while I was putting on my jacket. You think you won? He said under his breath. I was so tired suddenly. Not sad tired. Finished tired. Noah, I don't want to win. I want to stop paying for your wins. You're jealous because I'm getting the house. Then you can afford the bills attached to it. He laughed, but there was panic under it now. Mom and Dad won't let you do this. They don't control my accounts. You're going to regret it. I opened the door. Not as much as I regret waiting this long. I drove home with my phone buzzing in the cup holder. I didn't answer. I let every call go to voicemail. Mom. Dad. Noah. Mom again. A number I didn't recognize that turned out to be Robert, the attorney, leaving a careful message asking me to call back, because my parents had mentioned a family misunderstanding involving financial contributions. I almost laughed at that. Financial contributions. Such clean words for such a dirty feeling. When I got home, I put my phone face down on the kitchen counter and opened my laptop. I spent 2 hours organizing everything. Statements, emails, text screenshots, payment confirmations. I cropped out full account numbers and personal details, not because I planned to blast them online, but because if anyone tried to call me unstable, I wanted a clean record. Around midnight, Maya texted. Maya, are you okay? I stared at the message for a while before answering. Me, I think so. Maybe not tonight, but yes. Maya. They weren't mad you stopped helping. They were mad everyone found out you had been helping. That one sat with me. The next morning, the consequences started before I even finished my coffee. At 7:42, I got an automated email from my credit card company confirming Elaine had been removed as an authorized user. At 8:06, Mom called 3 times. At 8:19, she texted, "Mom, my card was declined at the pharmacy." I closed my eyes for a second. The guilt still knew where I lived. It knocked hard. Then another text came in. "Mom, your father is humiliated." I typed slowly. He was comfortable when I was humiliated. She didn't respond for almost an hour. Then Dad called. I let it go to voicemail. His message was exactly what I expected. "Luna, this is your father. You need to call me back. Whatever point you were trying to make, you've made it. The insurance payment is coming up and your mother is upset. This is not how adults handle obligations." Obligations? I saved the voicemail. By lunch, the phone carrier sent Noah the notice that his line was being released, and he needed to accept responsibility for it or open his own account. He called immediately. I answered because I wanted to hear what he would say when the safety net was actually gone. "Are you insane?" he said. "No hello. No warm-up. You can't just cut people off and act innocent. I didn't cut you off from anything that belongs to you. My phone is on that plan." "My plan? Your line. You're welcome to take it over. Do you know what kind of week I'm having?" "No." That seemed to stun him. "What?" "No, I don't know what kind of week you're having. And I'm not available to finance it." He scoffed. "This is because of the house. You're jealous." I opened my laptop, clicked on the screenshot folder, and sent him 2 images. The first was his text asking me to cover an overdraft. The second was his message in the family table 2 days later telling everyone he had taken care of Mom and Dad. This is why. He didn't call back. The family chat turned into exactly what family chats turn into when truth lands in the middle of them. Chaos with emojis. Aunt Beth wrote first. "Aunt Beth. I think Elaine and Martin owe Luna an explanation. Uncle Ray same. I repeated what I was told last night. I don't appreciate being made part of a lie. Cousin Jenna. Maybe this should be private. Maya. It was private when Luna was paying. It became public when Noah got applause. Noah, stay out of it, Maya. Maya. Stop texting me orders from a phone plan Luna pays for." I shouldn't have laughed, but I did. One sharp laugh in my quiet kitchen. Coffee going cold beside my laptop. Dad wrote a long message about family dignity, sacrifice, and how outsiders would never understand the full picture. He did not deny the payments. He did not deny the folder. He did not deny the deed transfer. He only talked around them like if he made enough smoke, nobody would ask where the fire started. Then Aunt Beth asked the question that changed the tone. "Aunt Beth, are you transferring the house to Noah while Luna is still paying bills connected to it?" No one answered for 17 minutes. Then Mom wrote, "Elaine, we were going to explain everything when the time was right. Uncle Ray. The time was before the toast. I didn't join in. I didn't need to. For once, other people were asking the questions I had been trained not to ask." That afternoon, Robert, the estate attorney, called again. I answered because I wanted clarity. He sounded professional and uncomfortable. "Luna, I want to be clear that I represent your parents in their estate planning, not you. But your name came up this morning, and I was told there may be concerns about contributions you've made to the property. I can't advise you. But I can confirm your parents had started preliminary paperwork regarding a transfer involving Noah. Nothing final has been recorded. Was there discussion of using the house as collateral for a loan connected to Noah?" He paused. "There were questions about options after transfer. Again, I can't advise you. I would recommend you seek independent counsel if you believe you need to protect your interests." "Thank you," I said. That call mattered. Not because I thought I owned the house. I didn't. I knew paying bills didn't magically put my name on a deed. My parents could leave their house to Noah if they wanted. That was their legal right. But it was my right to stop funding it. So I wrote my parents an email. Not a text. Not a voicemail. An email with dates and bulletproof sentences. Even though the story itself doesn't need bullet points. I wanted a record. I told them I would not make another payment toward the house, insurance, taxes, mortgage shortages, repairs, utilities, credit cards, or Noah's expenses, unless there was written transparency and legal protection for any money I contributed. I told them I would not be an emergency fund for Noah. I told them any future request had to be honest about what the money was for. I told them if they chose to give Noah the house, that was their decision, but Noah could carry the house. Dad responded in 20 minutes. Dad, cold. Very cold. I typed back. Me, clear as not cold. Mom sent a voice memo I didn't open until later that night. When I finally listened, she was crying. I don't know when you became this hard, she said. We did our best. Your brother has struggled. You never struggled the same way. You don't know what it feels like to worry your child won't land on his feet. I sat on my couch in the dark, phone in my hand, and felt the old guilt move through me like a familiar song. Then she said, "You could have talked to us privately." I stopped feeling guilty. I had talked privately. For years. I had asked privately why Noah got credit. I had asked privately when I would be paid back. I had asked privately why every emergency became mine. I had asked privately for honesty before I paid for the deck. They didn't want privacy. They wanted silence. The week after the dinner was messy. Not dramatic in a movie way. Just exhausting in the way real family consequences are exhausting. Mom found out the homeowner's insurance payment needed a new card. Dad had to call the mortgage servicer about the shortage arrangement because my transfer was no longer arriving. Noah had to open his own phone account and apparently discovered that plans cost money when your sister isn't quietly absorbing half the fees. The emergency card he had used twice without telling me was declined when he tried to put gas on it. He texted me a picture of the declined receipt. Noah, hope you're proud. Me, I'm not responsible for your gas. Noah, you're unbelievable. Me, you're 32. That one felt mean after I sent it, but not inaccurate. Some relatives thought I had gone too far. Cousin Jenna sent me a long message about how money and family never mix and how cutting off support, overnight, was harsh. I replied with one sentence. Me. They announced a house transfer to Noah while accepting my money to keep that house current. She didn't respond. Aunt Beth called me 2 days later. I almost didn't answer because I was tired of being cross-examined. But Beth had always been more honest than comfortable, and that day she sounded genuinely sad. I owe you an apology, she said. For what? For clapping. For believing it when they said Noah handled things. I should have asked more questions. I leaned against my kitchen counter and watched rain tap against the window. You didn't know. No, she said. But I know your mother. I know she cares too much about how things look. I should have wondered why you always looked so tired at those dinners. That was the first time I cried. Not at the dinner. Not in the bathroom. Not when I canceled the payments. I cried because someone finally noticed the tired. Uncle Ray didn't call. He sent a text which was more his style. Ray, your dad told me Noah helped save the house. I repeated it. I don't like being used. You did what you had to do. That helped too. Maya became my quiet reporter from the family chat because I muted it after the third day. She didn't gossip. She just sent me things I needed to know. Like when Noah tried to claim I had offered the money as gifts and was now changing the story. Maya sent back a screenshot of my old message to Mom saying, "Please confirm this is for property tax, not Noah." And Mom replying, "Yes, honey, property tax. I promise." Like when Dad wrote, "Luna has always been independent. We didn't think she expected anything." Maya replied, "Respect is not an inheritance. You could have given her that for free." I saved that message too. On Friday, Mom showed up at my apartment building. She didn't come up because she couldn't get past the entrance without me buzzing her in. She called from outside. "I need to see you." I looked through the peephole camera on my phone. She was standing with her arms wrapped around herself, hair pulled back, face drawn. She looked older than she had the week before. I almost buzzed her in. Habit is a powerful thing. Instead, I said, "We can talk by phone." "You're really going to leave your mother standing outside?" "I'm really not having this conversation without boundaries." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "We needed to make sure Noah was okay. You made sure Noah was okay by making me not okay. That's not fair. It's exact. She sighed, and there it was again, the old disappointment she used like a blanket over every hard truth. You don't understand what it's like to be a mother. Maybe not, I said. But I understand what it's like to be useful until it's time to be acknowledged. She cried then, softer this time. We were going to tell you about the house. When? After the transfer? After the loan? After Noah's fresh start was attached to it. She didn't ask how I knew about the loan. That told me enough. Your father thought it could help everyone, she said. It helped Noah. It risked the house. And you expected me to keep paying bills on it while you did it. You always make it sound so ugly. It is ugly. I just stopped making it pretty for you. She stayed outside for another minute. Then she said, I miss my daughter. That one hurt. It was meant to. I answered carefully. You miss the daughter who paid without asking questions. I'm still here. I'm just not her anymore. She left without saying goodbye. After that, things settled into a colder pattern. Dad stopped calling every day. Noah sent one last dramatic message about how I had chosen money over blood, then blocked me for about 12 hours before unblocking me to ask if I could send him the login for the phone carrier transfer. I sent the official release instructions and nothing else. The house transfer didn't happen right away. According to Aunt Beth, Robert advised my parents to slow down until they had resolved family concerns, which I think was attorney language for, your daughter has records and this may get ugly. Again, I didn't own the house. I wasn't pretending I did. But everyone now knew what had been happening, and secrecy had been the engine of the whole plan. Without secrecy, it sputtered. A month after the anniversary dinner, Mom texted me on a Sunday afternoon. I was meal prepping chicken and rice, the most ordinary thing in the world, when her name lit up my screen. Mom, the insurance and mortgage shortage are both coming due. Your father is under a lot of stress. Are you really going to let the family fall apart? I read it 3 times. There was no apology in it. No acknowledgement. No, I should not have lied. No, you deserved better. Just a bill wearing the mask of a family emergency. The old me would have called. The old me would have asked how much. The old me would have told herself she could set boundaries next time, after this one last payment. Instead, I wiped my hands on a dish towel and typed, Me. I love you, but I'm done funding a family that only remembers me when something is due. She didn't answer. I put the phone face down and went back to cooking. That may not sound dramatic, but it felt enormous. Not because I stopped loving them. I still loved my parents. I even loved Noah in the complicated way you can love someone and refuse to be used by them. But for the first time in years, love did not have access to my checking account. The family didn't explode. It adjusted painfully and loudly. Dad found a new payment method for the mortgage shortage. Mom got her own card at the pharmacy. Noah opened his own phone plan and complained to anyone who would listen. Some relatives stayed neutral because peace mattered more to them than truth. Aunt Beth stopped repeating my parents' version of events. Uncle Ray stopped praising Noah for things he couldn't verify. Maya still sent me memes about family group chats, which helped more than therapy some days. I didn't get a perfect apology. I don't expect one. My parents are still more comfortable talking about how hurt they are than what they did. Noah still thinks accountability is something people invented to make him feel bad. But the anniversary dinner changed the one thing that mattered. The lie stopped being free. A few weeks later, I deleted the old autopay reminders from my calendar. Mortgage shortage transfer. Insurance check-in. Property tax installment. Phone plan review. Emergency card balance. One by one, they disappeared from my screen. For the first time in years, my money stayed where my name was. My apartment was quiet. My phone was face down. Nobody was clapping for Noah in my kitchen. Nobody was telling me I was too independent to need respect. I didn't destroy my family. I only stopped paying for the lie that kept everyone comfortable. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.